All right, let's talk about taxes in India. If you've ever felt like filing your return was like trying to solve a giant complicated puzzle, you're going to want to hear this. India's Central Board of Direct Taxes, the CBDT, is rolling out a massive overhaul. The whole point? To make the entire process simpler, a whole lot smarter, and much, much more secure. Let's get into it.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll look at why this big reboot was so necessary. Then, we'll see how they're cutting through all the clutter and using tech to make filing way easier. After that, we'll dive into the new rules protecting your data. And finally, we'll check out the timeline for when all these changes are actually happening.
So, why the massive shakeup right now? Well, you gotta think of the old tax system like an ancient computer operating system. One that's been patched and updated for years. Eventually, it just gets clunky, slow, and honestly, a real headache to use. It was just time for a complete modern upgrade.
And to give you an idea of how big that headache was, get this. Under the old system, you had to navigate a sea of roughly 200 different tax forms. 200! You can just imagine the confusion, right? Filling out the same info over and over. It just made staying compliant a huge chore for everyone.
But it wasn't just about the sheer volume of paperwork. In today's digital world, there was another, maybe even bigger concern: your data privacy. The old rules for how tax authorities could access and use your digital info, well, they weren't exactly spelled out. The safeguards were implicit, meaning it was all based on interpretation instead of clear, written-down laws.
Okay, so that was the problem. Now how are they fixing it? Let's get to the good part. Starting with a direct attack on all that complexity. The main goal here is to just cut through the noise and make the whole system way more straightforward.
And the first solution is a big one. They're taking that mountain of 200-plus forms and slashing it down to less than 100. Just think about that for a second. More than half the paperwork is just gone. That alone is a massive step toward making the whole system less intimidating and way more user-friendly.
What's really cool, though, is how they're doing it. They're not just randomly deleting forms. They're rewriting them in plain English, and, get this, the whole process was shaped by over 5,800 suggestions from the public. So this isn't some out-of-touch mandate. It's an overhaul built on feedback from the people who actually use it.
And this quote from R.N. Parbat, a member of the CBDT, really just nails it. The ultimate goal isn't just about collecting taxes more efficiently. It's about making life better and easier for both businesses and regular people, so that dealing with taxes is just a smaller, simpler part of life.
So, fewer forms is a huge win, but the upgrade goes even deeper. The next piece of the puzzle is all about using smart technology to change the way we actually file our taxes, making it way less of a manual slog.
The key here is something they are calling smart forms. And the idea is actually pretty simple, but it's brilliant. Instead of you having to type in your name, your address, your PAN number, all that basic stuff over and over again, the system is just going to do it for you. It recognizes those common bits of info and automatically pre-fills them.
Here's how it works in a nutshell. First, the system standardizes all that common info across every form. Second, the tech just zaps it in for you wherever it's needed. And the result? You spend way less time and effort on the boring, repetitive parts of tax filing.
Now, making things easier is great, but what about making them safer? This overhaul tackles that data privacy issue head-on by putting clear, strong protections in place for your financial information. This is a big deal.
This is probably one of the most important shifts. Before, data protection was implicit. You kind of had to trust it was there, buried in legal interpretations. Now, the safeguards are explicit. They are written down, plain as day, right in the law. There's no more guesswork.
So what does that actually mean for you? It means there are now strict, legally binding rules about who can access your digital data. Only specific, authorized officers can do it, and they have to follow a very clear, set procedure. It's not a suggestion, it's the law, which brings a whole new level of transparency and accountability.
Okay, so we've covered the what and the why. Now for the big question, when is all this actually happening? This last part lays out the timeline so you know exactly what to expect and when.
Some of these changes are already here. As of this April, the new, simpler forms for things like TDS, TCS, and advanced tax are already in effect. But, and this is the big one, the completely redesigned Super Simple Income Tax Return, or ITR forms, those won't be mandatory for everyone until 2027. So we've got a little time on that front.
So if you take away just one thing today, let it be this. This whole project is way more than just a new law or a few new rules. It's a fundamental upgrade of the entire system, designed to be simpler to use, smarter with technology, and a heck of a lot safer with your personal data.
And that really gets you thinking, doesn't it? As tax systems all over the globe keep getting more digital and smarter, what's the next big leap forward? What's the next innovation that's going to make this whole process not just easier, but truly effortless? Something to chew on. Thanks for tuning into this explainer.